Hello there, Senators, and welcome back to Star Wars Democracy. I have with me here tonight Journeyman. Journeyman, how are you doing?
Doing great. Just watched The
Awesome.
Acolyte.
Okay, yeah, he just got caught up on the Acolyte episode 3, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's been a while since we've hopped on a stream, but given I think the last episode of the Acolyte, we have to talk about it a little bit. Have you I know so for those who are maybe new to the channel or don't know, Journeyman, you've kind of been out of Star Wars and Marvel stuff lately, I feel like. Would you say that's an
Yeah,
accurate statement?
um, I've taken the approach of just not really. I think we've said this in the past, but I've pretty much taken the approach of I don't care what anyone else says. Don't really enjoy stuff as much when I'm listening to other people. Like it's great to have other people's opinions, sure, but like
Mhm.
I'm not enjoying it as much, and so I'm just kind of going into things pretty much fresh and clean and how I want it to be. So
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. Have you at least been privy to the online discourse surrounding this episode in particular?
Um, I believe we talked about it like a couple days ago or whatever. Like
Mhm.
it's basically what you told me was like it was gonna break Star Wars or whatever, and I was like, oh
Mhm.
boy, I wonder what they're gonna do, and we kind of found out. We'll get
Yeah,
into it, but
we'll get into it for sure. Yeah, I I know. I guess so. I couldn't. I guess yeah. I told you that it was going to break Star Wars, and I don't know. I, yeah. I don't know. We'll get into it. We have Tony here. It's good to see you, Tony. We're glad to be back. He says, "Hello there, Journeyman."
hello there.
So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Let's just start with um our thoughts. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Um, I I think you should go first, and then I'll
Okay.
go.
So I have to admit something here. I feel like this is kind of why I wanted to have you on, just to um, give diversity into this. Because truthfully, I'm I feel like I'm gonna get hate, so I'm just gonna cover my face up for a second while I say this. I kind of liked the episode, honestly. Like I feel like you probably disagree, and maybe we should just get that over and done with right now. Did you completely hate the episode?
Uh, the episode, not entirely, no,
Okay.
but I do have some things to say about it.
Okay. So let's give our ratings at least first. I'll give it about a 7.5 out of 10. How are you feeling about it?
That that's kind of how I felt,
Okay, great. So
honestly.
we agree on it. That's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah,
I honestly thought you were going to like despise this episode and hate every bit of it, but I
no,
wasn't
it
sure.
has more to do with other stuff, but that's Disney, so.
So I honestly okay, so like just to sum the online discourse up, I feel like is
Hmm.
people are saying that the episode is breaking George Lucas Star Wars. That it's somehow I'll use the word, it's just crapping over George Lucas Star Wars,
Hmm.
and you know it's just it's just so different than what George would have done. Um, and I gotta say, I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. In fact, I was going back and listening to some of the streams that we did a few months ago when we were talking about the trailer and the show that's coming out and things like that. And one of the
Hmm.
things that like specifically said was, I hope we get to see different factions and sects of force users, like and we get to see how they interpret the force and how they use the force, and that's what we got in this episode. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna eat my words. That's because this is what I said that I wanted. Now, so I like that aspect of it. You know, they call it the thread. You know, everyone's been saying, "May the thread be with you," the
Made it
thread of destiny.
work.
And one thing that I think it's important to point out, and I just got to give a quick shout out to This Is the Way. He says, "What's up, fellas? Subscribed and liked. I appreciate it. This is the way." I think I saw you in Mike's Discord, so welcome to the channel. I'm a big fan of Mike. I was just about to say, Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, had pointed this out as well. When the witches are calling the Force the thread, and I guess I didn't catch this, or apparently it just went over my head. But in Ahsoka, the Night Sisters also are referring to this thread of destiny. I think that
Mm,
they called it. They're like the thread of destiny. So this is not
interesting.
necessarily a new thing.
No.
Um, Now the idea that, the mother's like, you can pull the thread and it kind of like warp your destiny. Well, at one point she's like, there's not this all big cosmic, force out there that's telling you what to do. She tells Osha like, you can make a choice. And I think it's important to remember that for this in particular, they're not saying that, like, I think people are freaking out saying like, this is the new force, like, what has Leslie Headland done, like, they're ruining going forward. I don't think that's the point of this episode. I think the point of the episode is to show you how a different faction of force users interpret the force in their own way, and we know to be the force of what Obi-Wan calls it, tells us it is, right? It binds us together. It's flows through all of us and through everyone in the universe. That's the force, but it can be interpreted in different ways. What are your thoughts?
So, can I just give my thoughts on the episode first, and then
Yeah, for
we
sure.
can okay. So, my the episode, I did like it, I to a degree. The only problem I really had with the whole episode is it was literally a full filler episode. Like,
Okay.
we learned some things, yes, but I'm like, I didn't think the flashback or whatever scene that was like the whole episode, like, was gonna be such a flashback. I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking, like, it's gonna be the typical flashback cut, kinda like Obi-Wan, and kind of, any other movie or TV show, like, you go to a flashback and then you cut back to the present, like, I thought that's what they were gonna do, and they never did that, so, like, I'm glad I like, uh, I'm glad I didn't stay up and like, w watched it, because I'm like, what was kind of the point of all this? I know next episode we'll get, like, hopefully we'll get caught up with everything, but I was just kind of overall was like, what was the point of me watching this to a degree? The I do like what you said about the Force, though, like, it's a different interpretation. The way I understood it is, like, there's many interpretations of the Bible or, like, any other religion, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many ways that you can interpret the world, and while we believe that Jesus is the way, and Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and all that, like, other people may not perceive it that way,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's the way I took it,
Mm-hmm.
for at least in terms of Star Wars. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was necessarily wrong with how they wrote the episode, because it sounded very George Lucas to me. It's just a different interpretation of the George Lucas thing. It wasn't necessarily breaking it. It's just saying, "Hey, here's something different that they perceive the Force as."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I got from it. I didn't think it necessarily broke anything, in terms of the Force stuff. The thing that broke it for me was, like, I'm gonna get really hate on this, but, like, it goes into the whole kind of politics stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna necessarily cover, but the whole, like, they didn't come from a father, and I'm like, so
Mm-hmm.
they re is she reinventing Anakin? Basically, like, are we doing this whole Anakin arc again? And so,
The Immaculate Conception is what people have been calling it online, and yes, a lot of people are upset that it trumps on the legacy of Anakin. And I just have to say, I disagree. I don't think that it does. One thing that I think is important to point out is, and yes, you're right. There's a whole political, there's a social movement aspect to this that I don't even want to touch. I know you don't
Not
want to
really.
touch it either.
Not really.
We're just going to talk about Star Wars. Um, and I do think that that's there. I think it was Josh for the Den of Nerds, which I know you don't watch anything. He was like, after this episode, Leslie Headland was just cackling in a basement somewhere, watching everything unfold.
I
And I'm
wouldn't
just
doubt
like,
it.
that's what I was like. He's it probably. Who knows? I don't really care. It's Star Wars, right? Um, but where I was going with that is, it doesn't trump on the legacy of Anakin. Again,
Why?
well, because like I said, we know that their perception of the Force, number one, is not correct. I firmly believe that the Force is as Obi-Wan and Yoda describe it to Luke in episodes 4 and 5.
Yes.
I firmly believe that there's a cosmic force out there and there's a living force out there. The cosmic force is shaping, um, is directly influencing, I suppose, what's going on. Anakin is, the living embodiment of the cosmic force, in my opinion, after Return of the Jedi. He's overseeing the events of the galaxy, making sure that everything stays in balance. Like there is this superior big being out there known as the Force that binds people together through the living force, and that they can have that common unity. So I think the idea of the thread of destiny, where you can just pull the thread and change your destiny and warp it, I think that it's an aspect of the. I think there's an aspect of that there in the perception that I was just talking about with the cosmic and living force, but I don't think that it's completely
Sure.
accurate. Now, as far as the birth goes, I think
Yeah.
that it's important to distinguish, and this is why I brought up the cosmic force, is the cosmic force, the actual will of the force is what created Anakin. The
Right.
force
Yeah.
itself
Okay.
created Anakin. My understanding of this episode and why I'm okay with it is, it seemed to me that the witch used the force to create the twins. And I think that there's a difference there.
So
A person using the force to create life, and the force itself as a cosmic entity, supernatural entity, actually conceiving a child is different.
so I have a question about this then,
Mhm.
because then I was thinking about this as not as just you saying it, but like I also had this thought like wasn't correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Savage Press created technically by I mean Dathomirian witches, like by the mother, right? Like
Mm.
he was just basically spawned out of nowhere, right? Or was he an
No,
actual guy that was
he was
just
an
beefed up?
actual being who, I believe, was kind of strengthened and built up by means of magic. I
Okay, but
believe.
that was kind of my whole thought process on there. It's like we've seen this before. Like it's not necessarily wrong that we've seen witches use their magic to change or do something.
Yes. Yes.
And so like
Yes.
in terms of that, like that's where my mind went and I'm like it doesn't necessarily do it, but just just because everyone's going to make that leap to Anakin and that's what I
Mhm.
did, I'm like why are you doing like out of all the things you could have come up with, like that's what you
Exactly.
come up with. Like
Exactly. That
it's the fact that you directly chose that choice to be like, "Yeah, we're not gonna have a father." Like,
yes.
okay, like, come up with something at least new or write it differently into where it's not gonna jump out as just being, "Hey, it's a direct attack on, like, an Anakin character." Like,
Mhm.
that's my whole thing, and
Yes, I
that's
think
why I
you
think people hate it.
I think that's a great point. Is they purposefully chose things that were going to hit a little bit too close to home for people. For me, it works. For me, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it because I can reconcile it well enough
Mhm.
to be like, we've seen this basically before. Like, I'm not mad at it.
But that's one of the things uh, I wanted to kind of talk to you about. Is do you think that this does inherently have an impact on the chosen one? And does it kind of because a lot of people are saying that this immaculate conception, the creation of life using the force um, with no father is kind of trumping Anakin and his meaning of becoming and his role of being the chosen one.
No, because
Eh,
I think what you said earlier was the correct version. Like, the will of the Force chose to create Anakin. There
mhm,
was no manipulation about it. It was just, "Hey, I am the will of the Force is going to create Anakin now." Like, essentially, that's what happened with Adam and Eve. Like, "Hey, God said, we're gonna create Adam and Adam and Eve became a thing." That's how I interpret it. So, like, the will of the Force chose Anakin and created Anakin.
mhm,
This was
mhm.
manipulation of that power, cosmic, whatever. Like, that was manipulation of it.
It's manipulation of the power of the force, yeah. And one thing I found interesting, these are the kinds of things that I wish fans would cling on to and talk about more because I think it is interesting. Is when Mother Coral says, um, she says, "What if they find out how you did it?" And I don't think that's a matter of if they find out how you did it through means of the force. I think that there's something more sinister going on. A lot of people are saying, and I'd love your opinion on this. What if they used, I don't want to say the dark side because I don't think the witches believe between in like the light and the dark side of the force, obviously, because they don't believe in the force. Because she says also, she's like some call it a force and claim to use it.
Once again,
And
it's just a different interpretation. They
yeah,
don't want to call it the Force, but that's
mhm,
essentially what they're using.
yes. And I would say that I think that it's hard to put into words.
No, yeah.
I don't know. I guess they're the I don't even know. I lost my train of thought.
I hmm. I I think kind of the point of it though is like it's just a manipulation of it. That's why I don't think it's the correct
Yeah.
view because
Yeah,
I
I remember where I was going with it. Some people are saying that it's possible that maybe this Sith acolyte is gonna have more to do with it and that they used the Sith acolyte to like the dark side and the Sith to create the twins.
yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't doubt it. I'm trying to reconcile that. Is that hmm. But I mean, we know it's the will of the Force, but then there's also the fan theory out there that Palpatine used whatever to create Anakin. And I'm not saying that's wrong or misinformed or it's the fan theory, I guess, but like
Mhm.
once again, you're kind of just if you do that, you're kind of just you're really not creating anything new. Like you're just hearing fan theories and being like, yeah, we can do that
Mhm. Mhm.
officially, like and make it a quote unquote new thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that it steps on the toes of the chosen one prophecy. I don't.
No.
Now,
I think the manipulation or the she talks about choice a lot, like, you can choose to,
Yes.
bend
Mhm.
it and all this, and I'm like, to a
Can I
de
say something?
to a degree, I agree with her because while Anakin did have the choice to, like, not go and become Darth Vader, right? Like, there is sort of a choice there that you can have, but I think just the way it sounded coming out, I'm like, you're not the whole point is not to manipulate the thing. Like, it will happen the way it happens. You can choose whatever path it is. The will
Mhm.
of the Force is gonna guide you where you are going.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the thing. The Jedi are supposed to mold themselves to the will of the Force and live alongside the Force and
Yeah,
kind of carry out
kinda
the
like
will of
Bendu.
the Force. And I think the witches are saying that you can mold it and shape it and have a choice and pull the thread of destiny.
I
Um,
think a lot of George Lucas threads are there. Like, the the his ideas are there. Like, it's not just crapping on George Lucas. I feel like you're reinventing the wheel sometimes, but,
mhm.
like, a lot of the writing and everything, I felt like it was really George Lucas, like, in just different terms. Like, they never used dark and light side, but it was basically to me, it felt kind of the same.
Yeah. Now I will say, we could touch on this and then I'll get to some of the comments here. But
Yeah.
one of the things that people are kind of upset with is the fact that no, this may not directly impact the prophecy of the chosen one and Anakin, but Plagueis and what we know about Plagueis, because the
Mm,
tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, he could influence the midichlorians to create life. That was his mission.
mm,
That was what he was wanting to do, and he was,
mm.
to my understanding, never actually able to
No.
figure it
Yeah.
out. And so, if these witches were able to figure it out, how was Plagueis not able to figure it out? And a lot of people are upset, thinking that it breaks the canon because
Now yeah,
the
now that
witches.
I would be mad at, yeah.
So I don't know if you have any other thoughts to add to that, but the people are upset about that. To
Yeah.
me, I just don't really care. The thing is as much as people want Darth Plagueis to be canon, the only mention of him, to my knowledge, is
Is in
in
Revenge.
Revenge of the Sith
Mhm.
in actual canon. In Legends, that's different. And so I think that we may just have to, anybody can people can be upset with it. That's not what I'm saying. But for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
I just have to operate in the bounds of canon. That's just how my mind works. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I'll roll with it, you know.
Yeah.
And to me, it just doesn't. I just don't have that strong of feelings for Plagueis that I really care. I guess.
I don't know
Uh,
his character well enough, even though we've watched all of Theory's videos or and all that, like, about whatever, but, like, I don't I think for me, right now, it's canon enough to where if he's mentioned in Revenge, it's canon enough
yeah,
at this point. Like, I'm
yeah,
like, Plagueis was a thing, Plagueis did his thing, that's kind of how we're leaving it. Would I love to see Plagueis? Absolutely, but until that even happens, like, it's great that we even have a mention of him.
sure, yeah. Um, So, for those who are maybe just joining us or who have been here for a while, I think to summarize our thoughts, I'll speak for myself here. I enjoyed the episode, give it a
Mhm.
7.5 out of 10. Um, I liked the showing of the different factions of Force users. I didn't have a problem with the thread. I think that it shows a different perspective of the Force. I don't have a problem with the Immaculate Conception of the twins. I think that it will be
Yeah.
explained more. Um, I agree with you. I think as an episode, um, I think that Well, I'll touch on a little bit later because I want to touch on a little bit later. But overall, I'm not too upset with the episode, but I do want to get into some additional problems that I do think are actual problems with the episode, and people have been also talking about it. So let me
Okay.
get through some comments here because I'm a little backed up. I'm so excited that you all are here. By the way. At the top of the comments, so I can't see who's joined. We got 6 people watching right now, so that's really cool considering we've been away for a little bit, and it's good to be back. So,
Hmm.
um, let's see. Tony says, "Journey, have you seen Godzilla minus one?"
No, I haven't actually watched it. I've seen clips like on reels or whatever, but no, I haven't actually watched it.
Okay, there you go. Um, we already gave a shout out to This Is the Way. This is the Way. Thanks for being here. Glad that you're here. Um, Tony says, I'd like to start. Primary issue is a small number of gatekeepers that with dislike with KK and Disney Plus has done with Star Wars and decided just to try their best to bring others to join their views. So as you can imagine, Journeyman, there's a lot of people who did not like this episode. Um,
I know a lot of the reasons why. It's really because a lot of the politics stuff, and
well, not even that. I think people are really just honed in on the fact that this is I won't say who said this, but there was one creator who's like, "This is a mockery of what George Lucas created." I'm like, I just don't think I can go
mm,
that far to say that. Um,
I'm not there. If
I'm not
that's a
there.
mockery, I'm not there.
Yeah, and I think what Tony says is exactly right. Is unfortunately there's a lot of big voices out there right now who, by the way, can have their opinions on the matter. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that
yeah,
they
no.
can't, but there's a lot of big voices who are critiquing this. It's at like a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way.
It's at 15. I'm surprised it's even at 15. If I'm
You
being
think it should
honest.
be? I mean, they like people that's being review bombed like crazy, like 15% audience score. Like
Uh,
you can't do much worse than that. And the
yeah,
argument is people are like, oh, they're just review bombing, they're just review bombing. And the argument has been, well, if they're review bombing, where's all the people who are supposedly, fans of this? Like I guess they're just not going and commenting, but whatever. So but I think you're right, Tony. It's unfortunate that there's people out there who are kind of gatekeeping and just sharing their dislike for it. My hope is that on this channel we could at least try to give some. I mean, we're just two guys who are casual fans of Star Wars. We don't know,
yeah.
I would say, a ton about the lore, but it's just fun to talk about, and that's why we're here because it's fun to talk about. And
And anyone's willing to have their opinion. That's
yeah,
like you
yeah,
said, like
I'm.
share it. We're not gatekeeping here.
Mhm.
If you
Uh,
like it.
Yeah, Tony says witches have been a mainstay of Star Wars even since the Clone Wars. They also appeared in Ahsoka and now the Acolyte. Yeah, that's kind of what we're just talking about. Um, is this is not new. This stuff is not new. In fact, I want to touch on this really quick and remind me to circle back to it later. But apparently, I think Dave. People are trying to like kind of come to the to defense of this episode. And one of the things that Leslie Headland has said is Dave Filoni was very influential in giving her advice on how to do the witches, and basically was like told her like, this is the Night Sisters are not the only witches in the galaxy at this time. He was
Yeah.
encouraging her to do this. And so for all these people who are like, Dave, come on, save us, they're kind of doing damage control, and they're like, well, Dave's kind of like the one who in some ways kind of helped create this episode and this idea. So take
Well,
that for
and
what
Dave.
you will.
Well, and I think what it's setting up is like Dave is doing movies, so like if he's gonna have ideas or have anything else, like he's trying to help set up his own stuff too. So even though it's not even in the his realm, like timeline wise, like you kind of need to establish something, right? And so
Hmm.
I think it's smart that he would be helpful and willing on that end.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, Let's see. Tony says in Rogue One we saw many followers, acolytes of the Force at Jeddah. Yeah, there's different followers of the Force that have different perceptions. Tony says the series is going to employ the writing style that George and Jave have used to base Star Wars with. That is Akira Kurosawa's films. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Dave was very influential in the creation of this show. LEB, good to see you. LEB says, "Hey guys, long time no see. We're back, ready to talk about the Acolyte, and it's good to see you, LEB. Welcome." Um, let's see. This series uses a method that employed from one of his movies called Rashomon effect. Okay, yeah. Says where we see a major event seen in different viewpoints. Thus, we will see this same event again from the standpoint of the Jedi. Now, that's a really good point. Do you understand what he's saying here? Because, like I said, I know that you haven't
Yeah,
really seen a lot of the stuff going around, but we've seen. So the flashback that we got in that episode is not going to be the only flashback that we see. Um,
interesting.
because it's kind of like Return of the Jedi, or not Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, in that there's going to be different viewpoints of the same event happening.
Yeah,
And we know this because there are scenes from the trailer on Brindok in the flashback that we haven't seen yet.
interesting.
Um,
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but uh, Torben is the Jedi who took the oath to basically have that long meditation. We see him in episode 2. He's the second Jedi that gets killed.
Hmm.
Did you notice he had like scars and stuff on his face? Okay,
Hmm.
so go you can go and watch the trailer, but we see how he gets those scars. And he gets those
Interesting.
scars from Kelnaka, who's the Wookiee Jedi. You could see
Mm,
Kelnaka's paw on his face, and he's like screaming like ah, like as he's like getting clawed in the face.
interesting.
And it's taking place on Brindok in a flashback, and we see them
So,
fighting
so
in
we
the
get to
trailer
see
with
a
lightsabers
Wookiee
too.
fight with the
Yes,
Jet. That's gonna be awesome.
so it's like we haven't seen all the points of view of what happened yet, and then we'll get to it. We'll get to it a little bit, but
Y-
yes.
Yeah,
Tony says people need to wait to see all the episode before giving their opinions. I agree, Tony. And I think that's the problem. And we'll hear you touch on it right here. I think that's the problem with, again, these TV shows, as we've talked about time and time again, is that when they don't come out, it's fun to get to speculate. I saw Mike talking about this, I think, actually, a guy who loves Star Wars. He was saying, one of the cool things, especially about doing YouTube and talking with your friends and stuff, is you get to speculate week to week on new episodes. I remember you and I were just loving The Mandalorian season 2 and getting to speculate about that. So it's fun in that
hmm,
regard. But when you have a project that people aren't liking and it's not going well, and you have to
it's like,
wait,
yeah,
and it's has the opposite effect, I think. So
it
they're
feels like
really,
it's
really good.
taking a. Yeah, at that point, it feels like unnecessary time that you're wasting. Where you could just drop it all at once. We watch it 6 hours and get it done with our life, even though we'd be watching 6 hours or however many episodes, anyways, of our life. It's just drop it all at once, let us get over it, be like, okay, that really sucked or didn't, and then move on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So,
I also have a question for
mhm.
everyone, but so we might, like you said, we'll get back to those scenes eventually, and there might be questions that are answered here. But my question is like, sh- she is not is OSHA's the good one, right?
Yes,
The one that okay,
as of right now, yeah.
yeah. OSHA's the one that wants to go be a Jedi, but her twin sister didn't want her to leave. I'm so confused as to why there's like such a feud of there, other than like the mother not wanting it, but then just her sister being like, "No, you are not going to do this," and I'm like, "You're your sister. You don't have to be the same." Like that's the
Mhm.
whole thing. It's like you don't have to be the same, and I'm like, Child, do you not understand this? Like,
Well, so the stream title is "Are There Problems with the Acolyte?" Episode 3. I do think that there's problems. I think that that's one in particular. So we'll get to it in just a second. Let us know in the comments in the chat if you think that there are problems with the episode, even if you liked it. We're being we're constructively criticizing the episode. So
mhm.
um I'm gonna we have a lot of comments. It's so good to see everybody here. So I'm gonna kind of start skipping some. So if
Yeah,
you want
sure.
your comment read, just put it toward in there again, and I'll make sure that I get to it. But I have a new senator, at least a senator that I haven't seen before. Robert, good to see you, Robert. Let's see. Travis. Travis is in the chat. Long time no see to Travis as well. Travis, I sent you a message in Discord today because I wasn't sure if Journeyman was actually going to be able to make it, and I didn't really want to be talking by myself. And I was like, and Travis, we could still do this sometime. But I figured you would have a great perspective and great commentary on this episode, Travis, for some reason, just because you organize your thoughts very eloquently. And so I was like, I'm going to see if he would actually be willing to join the stream and share his thoughts and his point of view. So maybe we could do that later, the three of us or whatever. I would love to have. I think that that's important, especially with the fandom how it is right now, as making sure that different voices can be heard, even if we disagree. And I think it's especially important for people to see that because I think what happens is people just get in their echo chambers. It's the same thing with real life stuff, right? It's like you're gonna find people who share your opinion and just echo it. And so I think that, and then I feel like a lot of people like get on the same stream and they just kind of like dogpile. And it's like I think it's important to have people on streams who disagree and people actually see that, oh, there could be two people on the same stream having a constructive conversation
It's
about a
called a
fictional universe, by the way. This is fiction, people.
it's
Uh,
called agree to disagree. That's
Agree to
what it is.
disagree. People can be on the same stream and agree to disagree. So it's good to see you, Travis. Hit me up on Discord and maybe we can do that. Tony says touchy subject going on. It's a tad bit touchy, but I feel like we've handled it pretty well so far. So okay. Travis says episode 3 was the episode of the show where I fully got on board. There you go. I figured for some reason Travis may have a different perspective. Like, let me be clear. I didn't have a problem with it, but it still
No.
doesn't work for me in a lot of ways.
I
And
was
I don't know if this is the episode that would have got me fully on board with the show. So right there, I disagree with you, Travis.
yeah.
But I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that you liked it
Well,
in
funny
that point.
enough about the other 2 episodes, like, we watched them, right, to
Mm-hmm.
pretty much at the same time, and we were both surprised at how well the show was. At least, like, actually caught our attention and, like, had us locked into the whole story so far. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
good on them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, let's see here. Tony said there was the best writing in that episode. That's interesting because I think that's one of the problems with it, in my opinion. Um. Oh, by the way, okay. So Tony says that's the best writing. Uh,
It's treason, then.
just for you, Tony.
I forgot about that.
Let's see. Travis says, as for the prophecy, we're going off the perspective of Osha and the word of a bunch of witches without full context of what happened. Exactly. So that I do agree with you with, Travis. I don't know if you're here when we're talking about this, but I think that in terms of the differences between the conception of Anakin and the conception of the twins, the will of the Force is what caused Anakin, and the witches manipulating the Force is what caused the twins. And I think that it's very, very different. Very, very different. Um, Here's a good comment. The power center may very well be some machine that created the sister. What do you think was going on with that power center thingy? Because they showed it towards the beginning of the episode. It like made a crackling noise, and then do you think that there's more to that, or I mean, what do you think was kind of going on with that?
Honestly, I don't remember that. I
Okay, so it wasn't big
the
enough to have a.
it wasn't didn't catch my attention enough, I
All right,
guess. I don't
fair enough. Senators, what do you think about the power center thingy majiggy? Um, let's see here. LEB says a problem Star Wars has right now is making likable characters. It's really hard for me to love characters in Star Wars anymore. The Star Wars should take notes from The Chosen creates its characters. Um, I agree with you, Ellie, in a sense. I think the Mandalorian is a very likable character. Obviously, Grogu is a very likable character. I think what Star Wars likes to do for some reasons is make characters really annoying and then get us to
Yes.
like them later.
Yes.
Omega, Ahsoka. Ahsoka is one of the most beloved characters, obviously. My favorite character, I would say.
I mean,
Um,
even Luke to a degree.
yeah,
He was annoying and then he became
a Jedi Master who, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, and that was part of his character. Is that's part of his character type,
Yeah.
or his character arc, I guess I should say. So, I think that it's deliberately um, done sometimes, Ellie, and then sometimes I agree with you. It's just hard to really get invested in these characters. Um, I don't
Unless you
know.
just do a robot that looks like a cute character, cute robot, and then you're just like, "Yep, it's a robot. I like that robot now." And then
Because I mean, Ellie, I hear what you're saying, but I really like Master Soul a lot. Obviously, he embodies Qui-Gon. In
yep,
fact, did you know? Apparently, and I think this is some dedication, man. But he learned English just to play this role. That
really,
actor, yes.
that's crazy.
And has said that he has, he chose to embody the character or looks to. This is not an exact quote, so take this for what you will, but that did allude to the fact that Qui-Gon was very impactful in his depiction of how he wanted this character to be, essentially.
Interesting.
So I feel like I like that actor as a person, and I really like. I think I find him to be a very likable character on screen. So that's just my 2 cents.
Hmm.
Um, Mohammed Rahim says, "World Between Worlds, Anakin, Ghost Vader, or Yoda." Definitely Anakin as the father, or in the embodiment of the father. I would say is more powerful than Yoda. I think that's what you're asking. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Travis says, in Return of the Jedi, Yoda told Luke, the last of the Jedi you will be. Now we have characters like Ahsoka, Balin, and possibly several others running around doing that sentiment, but it works. Yeah, exactly.
And Yoda told Luke, "The last of the Jedi, you will be." Yeah, I mean, I
Let's
think
see.
even I think the reason Yoda tells Luke that is even in the Force, you even though you are part of the cosmic force does not mean you are
Mm-hmm.
still like the power of the force. Like you still can't predict things the way you want them or how see them go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Ellie says, was it just me or did Osha and May looking different as kids, despite being identical twins, seem really strange to anyone else?
I think they
Uh,
just got the actor to do the same thing twice. I would, if I'm wrong on that, right?
You mean as an adult, Osha and May?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Amanda Stenberg plays adult Osha and May, but the twins were. I think they were. I'm not for sure. I believe they were actual twins, but they were definitely not identical twins. They did look different.
Okay.
Uh, let's see. Travis answered it. Um, I thought Travis answered it. Here we go. Oh wait, Tony, he says it right here. That actress is an actor selection issue. The two kids come into contact many times and can't be filmed well with one actor. Yeah, so I think the issue with that is like Osha and May are not coming into contact, it seems, very often, so they can, do the back and forth with the same actress and not have to do
Yeah.
too much CGI. Whereas these twins were obviously in contact with each other, fighting each other.
Yeah.
And so you can't do that. It did take. I'm not gonna lie. It did. It's a problem in my opinion. With it, it did take me out of the story a little bit. That was just me. That issue was brought up by Alan at Generation Tech, and he is wrong as his theory fell apart at the end of the video. I want to see his video actually, Tony. Link that video in or put that video in the Discord if you don't mind, because I've heard that he has a really good take on it, but if you're saying his theory fell apart at the end of the video, I'd love to take a look at that video and see. Travis says, my perspective is Yord looks someone dropped a box of Burger King chicken. That's yeah. He also is. I find I like his character. I find him a very interesting character. He takes that dogmatic view, narrow view of the Jedi, as Palpatine would say. But yeah, the actor himself is. Yeah, he's the one who was like, if you can't see that Anakin blew up a Death Star, and it's like, Anakin didn't blow up the Death Star. Oh goodness. Ellie says, the Acolyte isn't my fave, but it's better than I thought, so I'll give that. My perspective, it's good, but not great, but I hope it becomes great. There you go.
My sentiment, LEB, exactly. Yes.
There you go.
I will say one of the things I did like about it was, I think a lot of fans, or not a lot of fans, I think a lot of people, it's not really a problem, but like everyone thinks of the Jedi just taking them from their families and bringing them to the Order. I think what I liked about this episode was like it was an actual choice. Like I know Anakin had a choice as well, but like seeing them be like, here's my lightsaber. Would you want to become a Jedi? Because I think a lot of people just think of. I think that's what a lot of people think of is just like the Jedi Order being like, yeah, they just take.
Yeah, but did you? Okay, we're just gonna get into the problems though, and maybe it's just I'm looking for things at this point. But I found that so weird. She's the Matrix lady, Carrie Ann Moss, Master Indara, as Soul says, was like, Mother Anastasia, you cannot deny the Jedi have a right to take these children, or to test these children as Padawans. If you, and then she's like,
if you give
let us,
yeah,
yes,
it's like
it was like, well, you cannot deny, again, and then it's like, but if you give us, it's like, so.
Well, once again, I think it's the dogmatic view of the Jedi for her, but then Yord's his name, right? The one that we like, Qui-Gon.
No, that's Saul.
No, that's Saul. Okay. He kind of reads the whole situation. And he's like, okay, we're gonna do it the diplomatic way, and we're gonna be like, here, child, here's my lightsaber. Do you want to become a Jedi? Like, it is up to you to decide. Like, you can basically read the room and say yes or no to this, you know?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
we're not gonna argue and be like, "We're taking your kids and they're gonna become Jedi." It's like, no. Maybe in some instances, but, like, in this instance, we're gonna be like, "No, we're gonna give you a choice,
Mhm.
and it's gonna go peacefully." Like, we're not gonna have this confrontation about it. No.
Yeah, yeah. He is just very there's a peaceful essence to him, uh, but I'm not so sure that the the interaction between the witches and the Jedi are gonna end so well.
No,
Um,
I don't think either, but at least for in
but
that
I
moment,
do
I'm
like
like,
that. I found that so weird. It was and that's why I don't know if it's a writing issue or if it's just I don't know, but it's yeah, she's like, "You cannot deny the fact that the Jedi have a right to test these children as Padawans with your permission." And it's just like, is that bad writing or is it and then like you said, with the whole when May Osha's like, I don't know, she says, "What are you gonna do to stop me?" But May's like, "I'll kill you." And then
yeah,
she
and I'm
takes
like,
her thing away, and it's like, is
"I'm
it
gonna
bad
kill you,
writing?
but I'm gonna take this person to run." I'm like, "What I'm
So a
okay."
lot of people have I just had a lot of people are upset that the castle is burning. And they're like people I saw someone on Twitter was like, this show seems to have a fundamental problem with understanding how fire works.
Oh my
And
god. Are we doing the I'm gonna throw his name under the bus, I don't care. Are we doing their screws in Star Wars now or bricks in Star Wars? Is that what we're doing? It's
I
like
don't know, but
fire is
people
burning in the castle. It is
people
wrong.
people had a problem with the fire in space in the first episode because like at the first episode she goes and there's a fire and it's burning and they're in space and she's trying to fix it. Yeah, people are
Mhm.
upset that there's a fire in space, and then people are like, it's stone, it can't burn. And it's like, if you actually watch the episode, you'll notice that the whole fortress is not on fire. There's just bits and pieces of it that are on fire, which is anyway, he
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, that is one of the things I'm like, I don't care. I'm more invested in what's actually happening in the story to care of whether or not something is burning and that shouldn't be burning. It's just like, there's a fire. I
My yeah. I just my other problem was just like Osha's just like, "I wanna become a Jedi," and the sister just like, "No, I don't want you to."
there so again, I keep saying this. I'm just telling you what's going on. That's my job here is just to inform you because I know that you haven't gone into done the actual research. I'm informing you of
I'm
what
in
people
bliss.
are
I'm
ticked
just
off
like,
about.
I don't know
people
what's
are
going on.
people are not happy with the actors who played these kids. I did, to be honest. I'm just gonna say I didn't have a problem with it when I first watched it. Nothing really stood out to me, and then I heard all these people saying they're not good. Like, no, if it's no offense to them, it's like they should just never have been casted and whatnot. I'm not really saying either way. I mean, if you do go back and watch it after, of course, I have the bias of hearing that they're bad when they're like fighting with each other and they're like pushing each other and like acting all
At
annoying.
before the ceremony where she's trying to teach him about the Force or whatever,
Yes.
and it's like, I didn't understand that. I'm like, "Why are you guys bothering each other? Like, you guys are supposed to be listening, but yet you're fighting." And I'm like, I was with the other I wanted to be I guess she's Dathomirian, I don't know, but I was like, "I'm with the other one. Someone needs to teach him lessons." I was
Travis
so fed
said,
up with it.
yeah, I know. I'm just like Josh Dinners. It's like he's just like I just wanted to
Exactly. I'm like, "You
but
children
I
are
think
not
that that's
behaving."
in talking about writing, I think that that's I think that that was the point of it. But the way that they're like pushing and fighting each other is like, yeah, it's just bad directing. I don't know. Did you read? Did you read the Travis's
I didn't
comment
have
says
a
I didn't have a problem with fire in space. I was thrown off by a Jedi Master saying it's lunchtime.
what
Saul
did he say?
says
It's
that. He goes, "Time for lunch." It's just like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
The first episode.
I don't.
Let's see. Yeah, so there's that problem. I also like again. The thing about this was the problems I had with this. I feel like they're all pretty minor, and I can get over pretty easily. But I had a problem with the power of one, the power of two,
Oh my
the
god.
power of
many.
many.
And then it became a chorus, and you're like, I'm like, I don't think
Power of
there's that
one,
many people to
the
create a
power of
chorus,
two,
but
the power of many. It's
the
just like,
power
no,
of
please don't. So,
many.
someone said that it would have been more compelling if they like the chant in of itself is odd and cringy, but it probably would have worked better if they would have been saying it in a different language and like had captions at the bottom. You know, like I feel
Or
like
yeah,
it would have been more
if
creepy,
you had captions turned on, yeah.
more captivating for it to be like this weird ritualistic language that they're
Yes.
using and to have the caption, but instead it just comes across as really cringy in my opinion.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. It's just like
Oh,
now if you say it in that type of voice, it just sounds like a call. At that point, you need to run.
people are saying they didn't have it. Travis is like, I didn't have an issue with the chant, but there was apparently, I remember this. Yeah, there's like one person who's like yelling in the middle of it, and it's like, be quiet. Ellie had a problem
Hold
with
up,
it
girl,
too.
you better.
Ellie had they almost said this simultaneously, so it must have really bothered people. The one lady who started screaming in the middle of the chant.
I didn't hear that. I was just focused.
I was more also thrown off of like, you would think if they're all going to be doing something at the same time, at least they were chanting at the same time. But if you go back and watch it, the choreography, a few of them
Oh
are
my
like,
gosh!
they're off. And it
Oh,
was like, are they supposed to be doing this at the same time? Or like, I
like
don't know. I was thrown
I
off.
felt like they were trying to do like the Avatar scene from the first one when they're all just sitting there going, "Oh yeah, or whatever," and then and you just had the movements be off, and I'm like, "Are you director? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing the same
Yeah.
shots I'm seeing?" Like,
Yeah. So I had a problem with that. I had a problem with like the twins. I don't know. Like I said, they're small little squabbles.
yeah, it's nothing too mad to get over, but
Nothing too major.
when you combine it, you're just kind of like, "Are we seeing director? Are we seeing the same shots?"
You know, I saw some people also talking about like they're tired of having the same planets. Like George Lucas was very creative with Mustafar, lava, Hoth, snow, Camino, water planet, all these different types of planets, and it just feels like it's very
foresty
same.
and all that.
It's
Yeah,
always
like
a forest. Like I just feel like people were trying to find as much as they could to
which
I don't know.
I do have to agree with them though. It's always
Yeah, I would agree. It
like
needs to be more inspired. Um,
because
it is a little bit.
at least when George did it, it was like, hey, we're gonna go to an all desert place. We're gonna go to an all water place. We're gonna go to a lava place. You know, like it's like one thing, and then it's just like now it's just hey, let's just all do forest, and it's like
Mhm.
okay, we've seen that before.
Yeah. Then you give us some variety. Come on.
Well, and at
Um,
least it helps us pick out what place we're even going to. Like it's kind of hard to tell from in the flashback scene what was the beginning of it. Where did we go? What was the planet called?
which one?
The in the beginning of this episode, what was
Brindok.
Brindog? It's kind of
Mhm.
hard to tell from Brindog to from where Ray's running on the doing her training scene in
Mhm.
9 or whatever. It's like, is that the same place? Like, are we in the same place? Like, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of people are just upset that it all seems the same. Um,
It's a little thing, but like when you think about it, it's just kind of like, come on.
yeah. This is the way says, I've heard that episode 4 is good, and there's a rumor that episode 5 may be one of the best things Star Wars streaming has made. Do you think the haters are going to give credit? Sadly, I don't. No.
No,
Um, the people who have already, the fact is, well, I shouldn't say this is a fact. My opinion of the matter is I was, I had a feeling that, I mean, we knew that this episode 3 was going to be controversial. I think that I didn't have a doubt about that. But I was curious to see how controversial it actually was. And I found myself the whole time watching it saying, is it really this bad? Like, is it really that bad? Um, and so for the people who are just completely hating on it, I'm not saying that that you should take what I'm saying and run with it because it's gospel truth.
yeah,
I just
no.
think the people that are going so hard on it that they I don't
I
I think
think
I agree with you. This is a way that there's no hope for them to turn it around. I still have hope for the whole. I think
so.
that we're not done explaining. I think it's so interesting that you would have, because like we said, we haven't seen the whole perspective of what actually happened. Go back
Mhm,
and watch episode Journeyman. I don't know, maybe you caught it. Maybe you and the chat caught it as well. But go back and watch that episode. And when Osha is going through the tunnel, you know, she when there's the fire, she goes through that tunnel and then she
mhm,
finds May. As she's
mhm,
going through that tunnel, there's like a vent or like a skylight thing, and she looks up and you see a flash of light, and there's like screaming like ah, like something went down. And a lot of
interesting.
people were upset with that too. They were like, the witches didn't die from a fire. They weren't burned. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of how fire works in this show. And it's like, well, we know they didn't burn. I guarantee you the Jedi massacred them or something of the sort happened.
Yeah.
And
Well,
otherwise, why would have Torben
it
taken the
also
poison?
well
He
that,
he
but it
decided
also
to
it
kill
also
himself.
cut. Like it felt like it was cutting. Like they
Yes,
deliberately cut in
exactly.
places
Mhm.
because to me, where I really noticed it was when Osha and May were falling. Like they were on that bridge and it
Mhm.
started to collapse. Like they didn't. We never. Of course, we saw a shot after, but like May surviving,
Yeah.
it seemed like there was supposed to be more there. Like it, like
Well, mhm. Yeah, well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree. I think it was a cut in a certain way to lend one perspective. We saw the perspective of
yeah,
what happened from Osha because she
yeah,
tells Saul in episode 2 or episode 1 like she's like I Saul, I already told you like what happened on Brindok was not your fault. Because from her perspective, all she sees is Saul saving and she sees the mother's dead, but she doesn't know how they died. And
yeah,
so, can you imagine when she finds out what actually happened? And I'm willing to bet that the Jedi had a major hand in it. And I think that it's really interesting that I think that the Jedi are covering it up. I think that the Jedi are having a hand in what is going on. And it makes me wonder, does Yoda know? Did Yoda know? And we've talked about this before. Journeyman and I, like I said, towards the beginning, of the stream when we were talking about this months ago, we were talking about the fact that, you know, there's this odd dynamic and relationship between Mace Windu and Yoda in the prequels, and it's almost like they're covering something up. And we've talked about this before. Josh with the Den of Nerds have talked about it a lot, and you have to wonder if maybe something like this, a huge massacre at the hands of the Jedi, to cover something up, or perhaps covering up something to do with the Sith. We don't know yet.
yeah,
But could Yoda have known, and could Yoda have had a hand in covering this up? I think it's really interesting. I think there's so many interesting components of this show. It makes me sad that I feel like people have, as you say, this is the way has discredited it and are not willing to give it a chance. I think that
So
it's
I
really,
think
really unfortunate.
to give my 2 cents on it, I think people from the outset of the show and just hearing the people do the interviews and everything, I think people were going into it hating it already. So I think the people
Exactly.
that already didn't like it, they're hate watching it just to see how bad it's gonna get. And
Mhm,
fair enough to them. Like, you go create whatever content you want to. I'm not gonna talk about how bad or whatever. Like, it's your content. You can create whatever you want. I
mhm,
just I just don't think they ever give it a chance to. So like, and then the people that like it like aren't speaking up enough about it.
mhm, mhm.
And so like you're just the big voices in it and all of it is gonna win out. But also I don't think anyone really wants to, or the algorithm is not gonna go for dialogue and like being in the middle.
Yeah,
They're gonna go to one side or the other, and it's just like
yeah.
if you're not willing to just say, yeah, it was, nah, then it's
Well
just kind of
well,
like
unfortunately, I think we're in the middle, so the algorithm is, not in our favor. The odds are not in our
it's
favor.
fine.
I feel like you and I try to toy the middle as close as we can, and, I'm glad because I feel like the people who join us in the chat are the same way. Is we just want to talk about Star Wars and have fun. That's why we're all here. So
We are
um,
actually going to critique it and wanting to see it be better, and not just be like, this really just sucks, and not
exactly,
giving really any reasons for it.
exactly, yeah, um, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting. As this is the way said, I know that there are spoilers going around for episode 4. I've purposely I did look at the spoilers for episode 3 because I was like, I just want to see. So I did know about what their plan was for the forced conception and things like that. However, going into episode 4, I've decided I'm going to stay away from the spoilers as best I can, just to go into it with a fresh perspective because I think that's what I need at this point for this show is a fresh perspective. So we'll see on Tuesday. I'm hoping. Do you have any guesses or hints, or what do you all? I haven't talked to you senators in so long. I want to get caught up on some of these things. Or what are the theories? I know Mike calls the Sith Darth Zipper Face because it looks like he has a zipper face,
Interesting.
zipper across his face, Darth Zipper Face.
Mm.
So, but what are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on who this mysterious Sith could be? A lot of people are saying that it could be Mother Coral because and I don't know if I agree with this. I think we see Mother Coral in the witches a part of the witches' bodies um as Osha and Saul are going through. But Coral
Mhm.
is the other not the one who created them, but the one who carried them. The one who's
Mhm.
very like, no, we will fight the Jedi, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Um a lot of people are saying that maybe she had a larger hand in this than we expect, and that she's the Sith. What do you think
Interesting.
about that?
That's an interesting theory. I could definitely see that. She has the more, once again, she's more of the fighter. So like she's willing to protect and everything. Like I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Hmm. Um. Yeah. So there's that. Kymir, the person that May is with in episode 2. A lot of people are thinking that Kymir could be Darth Zipperface. I kind of hope it's just I don't know, just a random person. I don't know.
I hope it's a
Uh,
new character that we
yeah.
get introduced to. I don't want it to be something that we really know, unless it's something that's really cool and really connects it. But
Travis says, I think the masked villain could be the first Rin based on the mask. I agree, which would be a nice way to bring everything together. I could also see Indara's death being faked and her being a villain. Interesting. I don't know about Indara's death being faked, but I agree. A
I
lot of
think it,
people, I
yeah,
have heard a lot of people say that they believe that this masked Sith red lightsaber wielding person is the first Rin or part of the Rin clan, and it would be a nice way to tie it into the sequels, I would say. Tony says, "Tell Journeyman that if he doesn't like the Acolyte, he can watch the sequels." There you go. Take that,
Okay.
Journeyman.
Okay. As of this moment, I would rather watch the Acolyte than watch the sequel.
Me too. I don't think it's that bad. I'm
No,
just
I
so
do. I'm
shocked.
telling you, like, I think it is better than the sequels.
I'm just so shocked. So to round the discussion surrounding the Acolyte out, are there problems with episode 3? Yes, I will say. To allude to the title of the stream, which, by the way, I originally had the title of the stream is Star Wars Finally Dead, because that's what everybody's saying is Star Wars is finally dead. This is the episode. This is the show that did it. Star Wars is dead.
I
And
think
Tony,
we've been saying that for 6 months, and it hasn't happened.
here we are. But Tony politely informed me that sounded like clickbait, and we would bring too many haters in by having the stream that title. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
Exactly.
So I changed it.
In the middle.
Yeah, we're in the middle. We're in the middle. There you go. This is what Tony said.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
He was arresting me as the Chancellor of the channel. You're under arrest. So, anyway, try to think if there's any other Star Wars news to catch up on. Anything else that you senators want to touch on? Saturday night, we got nothing but time.
I don't really have anything other than I don't have anything.
I'd love to see the witches come back for a Burger King commercial. The power of bun, the power of two, the power of patty.
I feel like that should have been a SpongeBob episode.
Yeah. Now I'm picturing SpongeBob. Yeah. Oh, too good, too good.
I'm trying to think of any other problems or any other things that I liked about the episode, or any of the other episodes that I did like.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, Tony
For
says
what we
Star Wars
got, there
died when
hasn't
the
really been
Christmas show aired. The Christmas special.
Christmas special. What was the Christmas special? I can't even remember that far back.
It came out with the originals. I don't even know
Oh.
if I've seen it, to be honest. That's I'm like, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean Star Wars died? Like, nobody's gonna stop watching this stuff, in my opinion, but whatever, I don't know. Maybe
If anything, everyone's gonna watch it to actually watch it die. But that's the whole reason they're watching it right now, is to watch it die. And
Watch
we
it
keep
die,
thinking
yeah.
it's all gonna die. And we thought Kathleen Kennedy was gonna be fired soon, but she's still kicking it there. So
Travis says, I'm convinced we'll get a scene of Yord leaving the bathroom door opened by accident when he's on the toilet. I can't tell if you're poking fun at the writing of the show, Travis, or if you're just saying that would be a very Yord-like thing to do. But anyway. Yeah, it's good to be back. This is fun. I feel like I got 2 kiddos now. That's part of why I had to go away for a little bit. It's all hands on deck at the house right now, trying to keep the kids in line. But I figured since everything was crumbling around us in the Star Wars community, I was like, well, I better at least touch base with my audience, with my senators, and get a feel for how they're feeling and let them know how I think about all of this, and hopefully maybe give people an outlet to come, because I think the most unfortunate thing about this Journeyman, and I've experienced this, and I feel like you would say the same thing, but I'll speak for myself. I think the most unfortunate thing that happens when things like this happen, and I will place a little bit of blame on the leadership of Lucasfilm, is when they just stir up so much drama. It seems like they find a way just to fuel the fire sometimes, I think, and
Yes.
it causes some of my favorite content creators to just go off the deep end, and suddenly I find myself having to just turn it off because I don't want to listen to it. I would rather
I
listen
will
to
tell
someone like
everyone, like,
Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, or I love Star Wars Santa. I hope Star Wars Santa sees this stream someday. Can everybody please let Star Wars Santa know that I really appreciate him and enjoy his content? I know that he's been in Mike's Discord, so huge shout out to uh, Star Wars Santa, Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. Those are pretty much the two that I watch. But it's just unfortunate because I just feel like when the Star Wars community gets divided, and kind of like what Tony was saying, there's some gatekeepers who really just I just can't be a part of the conversation. I don't even involve myself in the chat or go on Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called, and do stuff. It's just like I don't want to listen to it, you know?
it's so refreshing. Like the I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook, so it's not like that. It's not that hard for me to just not get into those conversations. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I found myself like so like feeling like I'm prepared to watch shows now, just because I'm such in a mental state of just like I have no clue what's happening, and I'm really going in fresh, and I just
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily care enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's what it is. Like, maybe a couple years ago, if I would have actually cared and like been all about it, I probably would be where all the other creators are. But like, I love watching their content. Like, I love watching everyone. I love watching the opinions. That's why I like getting the different points of view. But sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's just too much. It's kind of like news as well. It's just like it's too much to where it's just like I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, let me have. I will say my opinion, and I'm gonna, go to bed or whatever. Like at that point,
Mm-hmm.
like I just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just sad because I just I wish people would just you don't have to like something, but
At least just take a chill pill on like
yeah, that's a good way to
A
put
lot
it.
of
Take a
it. It
chill pill.
really is. It's just taking a chill pill. Like,
Take a chill
and
pill. I like that.
I think you sum it up in the best way possible. Though it is a fictional universe. Yes, we all care about this fictional universe. It's still fictional. Like it doesn't matter.
It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Uh Tony said we could talk about games, Star Wars Hunter. Have you played that yet? I actually meant to text you about this.
What was that? I'm looking it up. Sorry.
It's Star Wars Hunters. I believe you can play it on Nintendo Switch, or it's also in the App Store. I have it on my phone. I think it's really fun, actually. It's kind of just like I don't want to use the word cute, but that's kind of what it reminds. It's just a cute little Star Wars game.
Is it like a turn-based game?
It reminds me a lot of Call of Duty Mobile, like multiplayer.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, it's just like an arena, like it's 4v4. The matches are really fast. You like
Did you
choose a
say you're playing
character.
it on Switch?
You can play it on a Nintendo Switch, I believe, but I was playing it on my phone, and I was
Oh.
playing it. I think it was on Sunday, last Sunday, for a really long time. I was just on the couch, just playing it, and I was like,
No, I
"It's
haven't played
fun."
it. What was that bounty hunter game that's supposed to come out? Like, I don't know.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, when is that supposed to come out?
I don't know when it's. Someone in the chat let us know when it comes out. They did just release a gameplay trailer for it, though. Did you see that?
I saw the trailer for it, I think, but I'm like, I don't
Like, well,
care.
this just came out like
I'm
Monday.
so done with Star Wars. I just don't care. Like after the second Jedi Fallen Order game, like to me, like the gameplay was cool. Like they did a lot of the fighting stuff really well. I was just like, the story was kind of okay, and I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Hmm.
Like I'm still, I'm telling you this. I'm gonna do an embarrassing story here. So we had the tornado, right, come through our state, and so I I grabbed all the important stuff. I grabbed my computer, grabbed everything else. I threw my PS5 in the storm shelter, and I haven't
Mhm.
had it plugged it back in yet. And I'm like, I don't care enough to play games. Like, it does not matter to me. I'm so over it.
I know you'll
And
be playing that NCAA game though when it comes out.
oh, when that comes out, that's game over. I'm plugging it back in.
Plugging it back in, yeah. I'll get it too. Yeah, I wanna. It's just like the
I'm
good old
taking
days.
off for work. I'm
I
not.
bet so many people call in that day when that game releases.
And then also Twisters comes out that day as well. So you can go grab the game, have it be downloaded, go watch the movie, come back and
Ooh,
play the
movie
game.
Twisters. Yeah. Yeah, Tony says it comes out early 2025, so there you go. It could be fun. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll
I'm
see.
like I said, I just
In
don't.
in other news, Dave Filoni says that Ahsoka season 2 is ramping up. That's his number one priority right now. Is Ahsoka
So they
season 2.
so that's the question I have. So they are doing a season 2.
All signs. It's not. To my knowledge, it has not been officially confirmed. Someone may correct me on that, but it's everything. I mean, he said that in an interview that was his number one priority is season 2, and that's on top
Interesting.
of him filming this Star Wars movie.
Well,
That
and
is
that's kind of what I was confused about. Like I thought we're gonna go from season 1, then they announced the movies,
mm-hmm.
and then so we're just jumping into the
Well,
movies. I
I
didn't
mean,
know.
it must be important enough that it comes before the movies that he needs to get. He will need to get season 2 out before the movies, is what it sounds like, and that movie's supposed to come out in 2026, I believe. So we could be getting Ahsoka season 2 like next year, maybe. I don't know.
Dang. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're getting a season 2. I think it
Yeah,
needed it.
LED says it was official, confirmed in January or February. So there you go. Is there any official communication, LEB, on when we could expect it?
So we're
Because
going season 2, then the movies. That's what it sounds
I
like to me.
think unless I'm wrong, but I thought Dave Filoni's movie was supposed to come out in 2026. Someone fact check
Aren't we
me.
also supposed to be getting
Mando and Grogu.
that, but the other TV show that they're supposed to be filming?
Skeleton Crew. That
Yes.
comes
And
out in December. That's what Tony said right here. I've heard. I would not have high hopes for that one. I don't think we have a lot of information on it, but
okay.
I don't know.
So potentially Ahsoka, but potentially Skeleton Crew, and then the movies.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because we have Mandalorian Grogu in there. I believe that starts filming this month. So, an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. And like I said, I feel like I kind of have my life together now, so I can start streaming again. Drayman, you can hop on. Travis, we would love to have you on sometime too. I think it's a interesting dynamic to have someone who you may not always agree with. And so, um, like I said, I sent you a message in the Discord. We can link up in Discord or on X or something, and maybe we can do that. And then yeah, it's an exciting time. We still have memberships available, and so if you want to become a member of the channel, it's only $2.99 a month. Senator Tony is a senator of the channel. And when you become a senator of the channel, you get access to the Discord server where we have an audio channel. Journeyman, I don't know if you want to join that again. We need to get a schedule going back up
Yeah.
of where we can talk in the Discord channel with the senator. So become a member, get access to that Discord channel. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. I've decided that I want to be able to stream more. I don't know how often I'll be able to post videos. So yeah, we'll probably just kind of go with the flow, but streaming will probably be the main thing, at least for
Mhm.
the foreseeable future. I like streaming, so um, streaming is fun. So yeah, memberships, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Anything else, Journeyman, that you can think of?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Glad you all are here.
Yeah, yeah, I will. I'll try to figure out a good cadence, a good schedule that we can keep up these streams. I think for sure I can commit to probably doing at least one a week, if not two. Um, I'd like to do like a pre-acolyte and then a post-acolyte, if that's possible, and then try to throw in there the Discord server and whatnot too. So, like I said, um, if you want access to that Discord server, come center of the channel and I can hook you up. So, all right. I think we should motion to adjourn the stream. What do you think, Journeyman?
I would agree. Motion to adjourn.
All right. Let's motion to adjourn. I can't remember what I used to say.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.